So that's sawfish rostrum or nose. And that's a dry collection or a skeleton collection. And then we have a third type of collection. It's called cleared and stained. And somebody said, is that a stingray? Yeah, this is a little, it's a little stingray. And it's been cleared and stained so you can see right through it. See how you can see through that? And they take a chemical from the gut of a cow called trypsin, and it actually clears the tissue over like a couple weeks, and then they go back and stain it with two different types of dyes. The red dye stains bone red, and the blue dye stains cartilage blue. So scientists can actually see right through the fish without cutting it open and study how the muscles and the tendons and everything connects. And we have a whole collection of these. So we have alcohol collections, skeleton collections, and cleared and stained. Water columns straining like little organisms, interconnections, all those little lattice works of bone, and there's all nerve endings that it senses its prey in the muddy water as it goes through the water. It actually stabilizes it too as it swims. And then when it senses that there's food, it drops its mouth open and it kind of strains the water and catches all these little animals, little tiny animals, in its gills, and the rest of the water goes out. And
what does it use to sense food? How does it sense it?
Little nerve endings, I guess, like maybe.
Is it tactile or is it electrical or is it?
I think it's both actually. So, but that's paddlefish. It's one of my favorites because it's a North American fish and it's unique. So it's kind of rough. They actually used to use shark skin for sandpaper. But it's just alcohol. Just wash your hands before you eat.
Looks like.
Yeah. Can you see the teeth on it too?
I touched it. It's tummy.
But bigger, there's different species of hammerhead. There's some that are very dangerous. There are like 30 to 40 species that they figure are dangerous to man. Hammerheads, big hammerheads are called a horn shark. Let me see. Isn't he cute? Yeah. Right at the base of its dorsal fins, he has these little sharp, well, this one doesn't show them that well, but these little sharp points. They're like horns. And he eats mollusks and snails and stuff on the bottom of the ocean. But they don't get much bigger than that. So send out a shock of like 650 volts if they're a big one. They grow up to like 6 feet long. This is a smaller one. And they live in muddy water. Yeah, you can touch it. And you can, it's not electrocuting. But you can see its tiny little eyes. It just lives in muddy water, but it uses its electric fields to sense where prey is. And once it senses where it is, it will send out a shock and shock its prey and eat it. They're really uncommon, so you have to leave the nets in the water for a long time to get them. But this one is called a fang tooth. Look at the teeth on that. So,
Harry Potter.
and
Is it naturally that color?
yeah, most deep sea things are black. They're either black or silver. These were silver with a little. When they were live, they had red on them. They're called ribbon fish. They're related to oar fishes, but
Fishes or horror?
oar fishes.
Oh, I thought you said horror fishes.
Oar fishes. Oar fishes can grow as long as this room and like be several hundred pounds. They're one of the biggest deep sea fish, but most deep sea fish are tiny little things. But here's an example. That's about all the bigger this thing gets. That's called a fang tooth. Yes.
Why do you take it out with those, what are they called?
Forceps?
Yeah.
Because forceps are kind of easier on the specimen. You don't want to be too rough with the specimen. And if you didn't want to get alcohol, I could actually hold it like this. But I'll wash my hands later. I should be wearing a glove, but it's just in alcohol. But did everybody see the fang tooth?
I did it.
Look at that.
And its teeth are rigid.
What's that? Why is that weird pipe?
What is it? Thing? There's a little bioluminescent blob at the end of it. It's a modified dorsal fin spine is what it is. And they live in perpetual darkness down there because they're like at least 3,000 feet down. Light doesn't reach down there. So this little bioluminescent thing, it attracts. Yes.
Can it still light up?
No. But when we first brought it up out of the net, these things were still alive. We turned off all the lights on board the boat, and in a dark room, they were all bioluminescing. It was so cool. It was like flashing. So, and a lot of them have like these little bacteria that actually give off the light. So,
The bacteria aren't dead, I guess.
pardon? They're very bizarre looking, aren't they? Silvery, and they have a lot of bioluminescent dots on them. So, that's a deep sea hatchet fish. So.
A little
You
lower.
don't know what you get until you get the net up, right? You don't have a camera down there.
That fish. That looks like an eel.
It does look like an eel. And what do you notice about it? It doesn't have any fins, does it? It doesn't even have jaws.
It doesn't have eyes.
I don't really see eyes on it either. I think you're right. This is a scavenger, and it, like when a whale dies or something and settles down to the bottom of the ocean, these things actually go into the whale and eat it from the inside out. And they also exude slime. They're really slimy when you catch them. Yeah, they're not really slimy now, but when you first catch them, they just kind of exude. There's a guy on board. He was from Scripps in California. He catches these things all the time because they're right off the coast there. He puts them in his mouth, and the slime, it kind of looks like The Exorcist. It kind of spews out of his mouth. Area. And Cholumne was the river mouth that it was actually trawled off of in the ocean, where the Cholumne River met the Indian Ocean. So it was named after this lady who preserved the first one. Let's see. Okay. Now, these are tanks filled with alcohol, and that's where we store our bigger fish that don't fit into jars in these big tanks.
What are these jars?
Yeah, we do store some in those, but they're kind of hard to open, so we're trying to not use those as much. Those are really neat antique jars, by the way. Okay. They're like turn of the century jars. Okay.
Whoa. What happened to its head?
Yeah, you noticed, huh?
Yeah. It looks so brown.
Well, some scientists were studying the brains of coelacanths, and we gave them permission to dissect the brains out of all three of our specimens, actually. But this is the baby. But I should have brought gloves with me, but I'm going to pick it up. They're very oily fish. They live very deep in these caves.
Yeah.
Second at him, let him pull that up and then sneak by him if you can.
But see its big eye? And look at its lobed fins. They're almost like little limbs almost.
What's strange about them?
In fact, someone nicked it old forelegs.
Excuse me?
They aren't really legs.
Excuse me?
Yes?
What's strange about it?
What's strange about
It's
it?
pretty big, though.
Well, it's got lobed fins. That's really strange for a fish. It's got these fleshy muscles at the base of its fins.
So
That's more like a animal that can walk, that has those muscles.
does that mean it's ever gone on land?
Like a tetrapod.
Yeah, I think it's
No, it never actually had like a tetrapod. But no, it's never gone on land.
How long has it been around? Probably
Well,
not like
the
that.
fossils are 90 million years old in the British Museum. So it's probably been around that long.
Oh my gosh, somebody dropped his
And
eyeball.
what else is neat about it? It bears its young alive.
Mm-hmm.
They're called pups. They're fully formed. And it's got these huge eyes. It lives quite deep in these volcanic caves off of the coast
Volcanic
of
caves?
Madagascar, the Comoro Islands, Indonesia.
Wow.
And they have film of it, and it swims really weird. It does these headstands and does all kinds of weird things with these lobed fins. It's a very, very strange fish.
Does it go like that? How do we get videos of it?
And there's not many of them in the world's fish collections either. I think there's a couple hundred.
Does it do a backstroke?
Still, that's not really too many.
Does that thing do a backstroke?
Does it do the back? Yes, it does. It does all kinds of weird things.
It does a
I
backstroke.
see a video of it.
tail.
It's very, very strange. And so far, they have not been able to keep it alive in like aquaria, like the world's aquariums. I think the Japanese tried to had one, and they tried to keep it alive. They kept it alive for a little while, and then it died.